Have you ever noticed how the loudest people in the room are usually the easiest to forget, while the one who barely speaks somehow leaves a weight behind that lingers after they are gone? That is where most people misunderstand power. They think power is spectacle. They think it is charm, volume, performance, branding, clever lines, curated confidence, social proof. But most of what society calls presence is only theater for frightened people who cannot bear to be unseen. In this video, you will see 4 signs that your aura is powerful, not in the shallow mystical sense people use to flatter themselves, but in the harder sense, the kind built through discipline, loss, restraint, self-respect, and private war. And stay with me to the end, because the 4th sign is where everything changes. It is the point where suffering stops being a wound and becomes a weapon. Most people never reach that threshold. If you have, you already know life no longer feels the way it used to. We live in a culture that rewards display and punishes depth. It teaches people to look composed while they are collapsing, to look connected while they feel spiritually homeless, to look confident while every opinion can still rearrange their identity. That is why genuine presence feels rare now. A strong aura unsettles artificial people because it exposes how much of modern life is performance. Machiavelli understood something society still refuses to admit: people are drawn to appearances, yes, but they are ruled by force of character when that force is real. And when someone has truly mastered themselves, the room feels it before the mind can explain it. So here is what we are going to walk through together. First, the strongest aura does not react, it governs. Second, it can walk alone without collapsing into emptiness. Third, it is no longer manipulated by praise or blame. And fourth, it turns pain into power. Not as a slogan. As a lived reality. If any of these signs feel uncomfortably familiar, that may be because your life has already been training you for this in ways other people could never see. 1. You do not react, you govern. Seneca wrote that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality, and if you have a powerful aura, you have learned that most battles are lost long before the mouth opens. They are lost in the instant a person hands their nervous system over to an insult, a rejection, a tone, a look, a public slight, an email sent with contempt, a message left unread, a meeting where someone tries to cut across your voice and make you feel small. Most people break right there. Not outwardly, perhaps. But inwardly, they start negotiating with humiliation. They rush to explain themselves. They sharpen their defenses. They replay the moment all night. They let another person's disorder enter their bloodstream. But you have changed. Maybe not all at once. Maybe through enough betrayal, disrespect, and disappointment that you finally saw the pattern. The moment you react blindly, you surrender rank. The moment you let every provocation pull a response out of you, your peace no longer belongs to you. A strong aura is not emotionless. It is disciplined enough to put emotion in its proper place. You still feel the fire. You simply stopped letting the fire drive. That is why your silence now feels different. It is not the silence of confusion. It is not the silence of weakness. It is the silence of someone assessing the board while others are still performing outrage. Epictetus taught that no one can harm you without your participation in the judgment. That is not passive advice. It is strategic advice. Because in the real world, the person who can hold composure while everyone else leaks emotion becomes impossible to control. Think about how this plays out in ordinary life. A relative tries to provoke you at dinner. A coworker takes credit for part of your work. Someone online throws contempt at you, hoping to bait your pride into a public reaction. Years ago, maybe that would have consumed your whole day. Now you pause. You notice the surge. You let it pass through without kneeling to it. That is not suppression. That is sovereignty. And people feel it. They may not have language for it, but they feel the difference between someone who has a temper and someone who has command. 2. You walk alone without feeling empty. This is where society becomes especially dishonest. It tells people to fear solitude because solitude cannot be monetized, easily manipulated, or socially staged. A person who is comfortable alone is harder to hurt, harder to flatter, harder to threaten with exclusion. That is why so many people stay surrounded and still feel abandoned. They are drowning in contact but starving for inner company. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good." That line sounds beautiful until life forces you to test it. And the test usually comes when noise disappears. When the relationship ends. When the invitations slow down. When the phone stops lighting up. When the room gets quiet enough for you to hear your actual life. For many people, that moment feels like collapse. For someone with a strong aura, it becomes initiation. You have likely had seasons where you had no choice but to sit with yourself. No applause. No rescue. No constant reassurance. Just your thoughts, your regrets, your unspoken anger, your buried grief, your private questions. And instead of running forever, you stayed. You met yourself without decoration. You saw what was broken, what was childish, what was still hungry for validation. And little by little, you became less afraid of your own company. That changes a person. Now when you walk alone, it does not feel like social failure. It feels like alignment. You do not need to narrate every move, explain every silence, or fill every empty space with distraction. You understand something most people discover too late: solitude is not where identity disappears. It is where false identity dies. And once that happens, your presence becomes heavier, cleaner, more difficult to imitate. Because now when you enter a room, you are not asking the room to tell you who you are. 3. You are untouchable by praise or blame. Praise is seductive because it arrives dressed as love. Blame is dangerous because it arrives dressed as truth. But both can become chains if you have not built an inner standard stronger than public opinion. Cleanthes wrote of following reason without hesitation, and that spirit matters now more than ever, because modern life is engineered to keep people emotionally dependent on response. Likes, status, approval, outrage, tribal belonging, these are the currencies of a fragile world. A powerful aura begins to form the moment a person stops living from the outside in. This does not mean you become cold. It means your center of gravity moves inward. You stop feeling 10 feet tall because someone praises you, and you stop feeling worthless because someone misunderstands you. You no longer give strangers, critics, co-workers, family members, or passing audiences the authority to decide your worth by the mood they are in. And this, too, is forged through experience. Usually painful experience. Perhaps you did everything right once and still were judged unfairly. Perhaps you gave loyalty and were repaid with suspicion. Perhaps you learned the brutal lesson that people often praise what entertains them and attack what threatens their illusion. That realization can make a person bitter, but if it matures correctly, it makes them free. Now you move differently. Compliments no longer intoxicate you. Criticism no longer automatically crushes you. You listen, you evaluate, you keep what is useful, and you discard what is noise. That is rare. And because it is rare, it carries weight. People sense when you are no longer dancing to their rhythm. They sense when guilt will not manipulate you, when applause will not purchase you, when shame will not domesticate you. This is why a strong aura often makes inauthentic people uneasy. It silently rejects their power. 4. You turn pain into power. This is the deepest sign, and the most expensive. Because anyone can imitate calm for a while. Anyone can rehearse detachment, quote philosophy, post wisdom, and pretend they are above the world. But pain reveals what is real. Pain strips away language. Pain shows whether your principles were decoration or architecture. Musonius Rufus said, "No one is free who has not mastered himself." Most people hear a line like that and think of habits, discipline, routines. But life teaches the deeper meaning through suffering. Through the divorce that rearranged your sense of home. Through the betrayal you never saw coming. Through the humiliation that made you question your value. Through the season where nothing answered, nothing moved, and nobody came to save you. Those are the furnaces that create presence, if they do not destroy you first. A strong aura is not born from avoiding pain. It is born from metabolizing it. From refusing to let suffering turn into self-pity, theatrical victimhood, or permanent resentment. That does not mean you never bled. It means you stopped worshipping the wound. You learned to ask harder questions. What is this pain trying to expose in me? What dependency did it uncover? What illusion did it break? What strength did it demand that comfort never could? This is where the script society sells begins to collapse. It tells people healing means becoming soft enough to never be hurt again. But often healing is harsher and more honest than that. Sometimes healing means becoming so internally grounded that pain can no longer recruit you into chaos. It still hurts. You still grieve. You still remember. But now the wound becomes instruction. The scar becomes evidence. The past becomes material. That is why some people smile through what should have broken them. Not because they are numb. Not because they enjoy suffering. But because at some point they realized pain could either rot them from within or refine them into someone the world could no longer easily shake. And if you have reached that point, your aura changes forever. It is no longer just calm. It is earned gravity. So if these signs live in you, if you govern rather than react, if you can walk alone without becoming hollow, if praise and blame no longer decide your identity, and if pain has made you deeper rather than smaller, then understand what you are carrying. This is not ordinary confidence. This is the invisible authority of a person who has been tested in private and came back with less illusion. To recap, a powerful aura is not noise, charisma, or aesthetic mystery. It is self-command under pressure. It is solitude without desperation. It is freedom from external manipulation. And above all, it is the ability to transform suffering into structure. That is why people feel something around you they cannot quite name. They are not reacting to your image. They are reacting to your integration. And maybe that is the real secret beneath all of this. A strong aura is what remains after the performance dies. After the masks crack. After the social theater loses its charm. What remains is presence. Clean, unforced, and difficult to counterfeit. In a world addicted to appearances, that kind of presence feels almost supernatural. But it is not supernatural. It is what a human being begins to resemble when they stop abandoning themselves. If this spoke to a part of your life you rarely put into words, stay with this work. Like the video if it helped you see yourself more clearly. Subscribe to Silent Authority for more stories and lessons on inner power, self-command, and the psychology behind quiet dominance.